Stock market today analysis for March 15th, 2023. At the 1 minute mark, a video is going to pop up here that will give you 5 reasons why you should be selling cash secured put options on stocks you wouldn't mind owning. I believe that if you have an internet connection, bank account, and you spend money at least once a year, then really you have no legitimate reason not to be selling cash secured put options on stocks that you would be happy to own. Now, let's say you're already, let's say you're day trading, Forex. Well, maybe you don't need to add this. If you're already, making good money in the markets, then this is not something that you necessarily need to add. It's good to know how to do. But let's say you're not taking any action in the markets at all, then you really have no legitimate reason not to be doing this, right? And I'll help you learn how to do it as long as you don't irritate me. And here at the 1 minute mark, it's going to be popping up right there. Boom. That's 5 reasons why. I put it at 1 minute so you can come back and watch it later. But ultimately, there is a link to iofsuccess.com in the description below this video. And I got free stuff that you can learn how to do this. And I got paid stuff that you can learn how to do this. Read through here. If you have any specific questions, you can hit this contact us. And the us of this team is me, myself, and I. I'll get back with you. And if you're hitting me up with a complaint or solicit me with something, it might take a little longer. Unless the complaint is because you paid me money and there's something going on. I'm fast to respond with stuff like that. But if you're just just complaining about the way that I talk or whatever, send me a carrier pigeon because that's how I'm getting back with you. We had financial stuff coming out on the market today. And this stuff was already scheduled in the market, right? We got things going on in the market that's not so much scheduled. Still, the big thing is the banks. Banks. Here, 1, 2. I don't see any, that being about banking. 3, 4. 4 out of 6 for the second day in a row of these main headlines showing up here, banking related. Right, we got a mixture of red and green over on the heat map, with the big dogs being more green. We got more declining than advancing. Again, hitting new all-time lows. Guess it's just maybe not those. I don't know. We'll take a look. Increased amount below the 50-day moving average. Got well over 50, almost 70% below the 200-day moving average. Right here, we're looking at the futures. Let's take a quick look. I'd like to see what Bitcoin's doing. Rallied all the way back up here from down here, hitting about 19 and a half. Up here, testing that 25-ish area again. Silver right here. In this, look at that, resistance right in there, resistance right in here. Not on gold though, a little bit of resistance right here, but pushing to the top of this candle, right? It's not down here, it's up here on all 3 of those. Natural gas moving sideways. Oil, speaking about where is it in relationship to this drop, we see oil sold off down here to hit 65, interesting. And closed here, and we're in the bottom part of this candle right now. We'll see how that plays out. 10-year treasury yield down. Our 4 indices, 3 out of 4 in the bottom, just like here, right? This drop red candle closed here, new candle trading at the bottom. Same thing over here. Except elevated volume. We just got one, the NASDAQ, that's on the other side, trading on the high end of that range. The dollar, look at the dollar has been very volatile. Elevated amount of volume. Hit this 200-day moving average, dropped all the way down here. Boom! Opening up over here. 20-year treasury bonds hitting that 200-day moving average. And we see we tried to get a bit of a rally in SPX today. Same thing with the Dow Jones. Had a pretty wide range candle over here in the NASDAQ. And the Russell is kind of lingering here with up day in the VIX. Let's quickly look at these different 12 sectors. Not surprisingly, technology, see this up day. Healthcare, seen some up day, elevated, still got this elevated volume, but looking at this downward trend, or overall, how is it going to get past this? Financials, of course, just really selling off, massive amount of elevation in the volume. Industrials down, basic materials down. These stocks are kind of an overlap of a lot of these big tech names over here. But that's up. Retail up on the day, down on the month. Same thing with real estate, utilities. Trying to break above that, right? Our W right here, right? Left side, lower than the right hand side, breaking above that. Maybe people are going to be, maybe institutions, let's just blanket it, maybe some big money is going to be going in there for some security. Not sure. Would have been a good time to buy down here, right? If you wanted to pick up some utility stocks. Might have been a good time to buy. There's a little more to it. Basic materials, wide range candle today. Consumer discretionary down on the month, up on the day, and energy down. Let's go through our top 10 real quick. So this is what we're seeing in the spiders. What's the volume here? What's going to happen here? Rallied up to this 200-day moving average. Kind of in between there. If they start doing something like quantitative easing, a rose under another name is still a rose, right? So they start doing something like quantitative easing under another name, still going to push that market up. Apple is remaining relatively strong throughout this dropping stuff. And how about Microsoft? Microsoft sold off more. If you compare Microsoft to Apple, Apple's been a little more on the top of this range, where Microsoft seemed to be a little more volatile. But it's if we have our W right here, and this is almost a little bit higher, not super strong, but we're breaking this point. Here's another part. What I've got going on with my trading right now, I'm not picking direction as much. If it's like really low-hanging fruit picking direction, I do. I'm more of an option seller. So, but if you were active in the market today, could have got a good day trade out of this. 2 days. Maybe it's going to be moving up. Probably hit that 270 tomorrow. If you don't like dealing with all that stuff, if you're not able to sit in front of a computer, if you got a job, you got kids, you got stuff to do, you should learn how to do this. This is something you could do even if you're day trading, right? If you're probably not going to go on a month-long scuba trip and day trading, right? You're probably going to be under the water. Probably hard to manage your positions. So at that, you could throw on something like this. Microsoft looked at that. Let's look at Amazon. Amazon had an up day. Meta seems to be pushing towards the top of this range. Looks like it might be breaking out of this range. Google again. Yeah, big old up candle there, right? Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire dropping down today. All the other technocrats going up, and Berkshire dropping down. And over here on Tesla, looking kind of weak, right, compared to everything else. Nvidia trying to push to the top of that range. JP Morgan Chase selling off, but that's not a tremendous sell-off, right? It gapped up here. Like, it's not down here. So it seems to be holding some strength. Let's look at the NASDAQ, because the top 10 of the NASDAQ is almost identical to the top 10 of the S&P 500. So I'm not really sure by looking at these. We're definitely looking at these indices, but I'm not sure how well these indices really give us an idea of the overall market. Maybe there's a more diverse ETF that doesn't have Google listed like 6 times in it, or at least 5 times. Because right now, just by looking at 2 different indices, we're hitting it twice. Or excuse me, 4 times, right? Twice in each one. Now we're at 4 times. So not sure if that's diversification. What about diversity? You know, why isn't someone screaming? Why isn't what about other ticker symbols? They have feelings too. So we got our potential W forming, but it's having a hard time popping out of here on the Nasdaq. We want to see it get out of there via the Qs. We looked at Apple, we looked at Microsoft, we looked at Amazon, we looked at Google, we looked at Meta, we looked at Tesla, we looked at Google more than one time. We looked at Nvidia. Right, here's the only 2 in the top 10 that are different from the S&P 500. I don't know exactly what to take out of that, but I need someone a little bit smarter to help me figure it out. At the minimum, we just don't want to look at these 2 and think we're looking at a broad spectrum of stocks, because we're not. We're looking at basically the same, definitely the same 8. You know, there's quite a bit of overlap. So JP Morgan Chase isn't in here, and I forgot what that other one that's in the S&P that's not in here. But PayPal finally had an up day, but seems to be hitting this resistance right in there. Adobe seems to be getting stuck right in here in this resistance. Let's go over to the Dow Jones. Dow Jones, looking at the bottom, looks like it's gonna, not surprisingly, got a pivot here. I think we got more support down here, but it's catching some support right now. Buyers stepping up around this 315, pushing up to 319. United Health, and starting to move sideways a little bit in this range. That's one I looked at the option premium for my normal type of ways that I would sell options. Wasn't anything exciting, but the volatility in here keeps, every time I see it, I'm thinking there's got to be a way that your good buddy Brent can play this out. Goldman Sachs really dropped down, even though it closed the candle on a green. It gapped down right down in here, which this is not surprising to see it gap down in here. All right, getting resistance, getting support right in there. Home Depot, it's overall in this downtrend, but looks like it might be maybe bottoming out, which wouldn't be surprising because it's got a lot of overlapping candles right in here. Seems like it's going to get some support in there. Microsoft, again. Salesforce, dropped down, boom, popped up. Look at that, gapped up on all this great news of what's going on in the economy. And go figure. McDonald's, people are so depressed, they want to start eating some slimy food. And not as much volume, right? Compared to some other stuff, McDonald's doesn't have the same sort of volume we see in some of those other big names like Microsoft or Apple, those tech stocks. And what do we got going on here in Honeywell? Really sold off, dropped down today, broke this resistance. Visa, just sort of lingering. Looks like it's kind of like the snow hanging off the edge of the house. Amgen, is that bottoming out? Boeing dropped down, looking like it's trying to be a bank. So we're kind of mixed all over the board here. I think whether it's exactly the plunge protection team or something like the plunge protection team, I think there's a bit of that going on, because ultimately, if stocks, which they're not anymore, if stocks are a representation of what's going on in the economy, it's not like great news. For example, people are like, it's not that big of a deal, but let's just look at it really broadly. Is it a good sign when you have banks failing? No, it's not a good sign. Then we're just debating how bad of a sign is it, right? So, we want good signs, not bad signs. But I guess sometimes for the markets, bad news is good news. As the crappier the economy comes, the more the powers that be are going to goose the stock market up to the upside to keep all the voters' 401ks looking pretty. Well, at least they can do that and try to blame it on everything else on Putin and Trump, right? Putin and Trump is the cause of all the world's problems. It's not because I take bribes and I'm corrupt, right? They like to point the finger off at somebody else. But we're still sideways here, right? We're moving, we have been, and we moving away from this 400 mark, right? Yesterday I was talking about 400 in the middle of 420 and 480. So we're moving away from the 400. We're starting to get down here around the this 380. We see there was a pivot here. There's been a pivot here. Pivots right through here. So not surprising that we would see a pivot. We want to see how far is it going to go up to the 400, or is it going to, is around 390 going to be the new thing? Here's 6 months on the daily. Let's look at 390 in the past, right? Is this 390? Yep, right in there. Wouldn't be surprised if it starts getting stuck right in the 390, right? So we will find out with time passing by. And again, if you just don't necessarily have the time in your life, meaning like you got 3 kids, you got to do stuff with the kids, you got a job, you got a wife, you got in-laws, you got things keeping you busy that makes it difficult to sit in front of a computer and day trade or monitor positions and stuff, then consider learning how to do this. I'm telling you what, this is, from what I have found, and I have looked for a long time, this is as close to set it and forget it as you can come to in the stock market. I guess one way you could get closer is just you're gonna buy an ETF like JEPI or something that pays you monthly dividends, and that's it. I have some stocks like that, but some of them, I prefer to deal with stocks that have options. And one reason why is that a put option is insurance. If you're selling a put option, you're selling insurance. If you're buying a put option, you can buy it as speculation, or you can buy it as insurance. Let's say if you have 100 shares of company ABC, and you see the market you're worried that the market's going down. Overall, you're like, I know the market's going up right now, but I'm concerned. I don't want to, if this is your stock, I don't want it going below 380 because I bought it at 380. Well, you could buy a put option at 380 to insure your position. It's just like buying car insurance, right? Your car is insured for a certain amount of time. You pay up for it. Yeah, it's an expense, but what you could also do is you could do what would be considered a collar, and then you could sell a call option to help finance buying your insurance. So there's a variety of things that you can do. I don't really go into most stuff like that. I just cover the real basics of selling cash secured put options on stocks you'd be happy to own, talk a little bit about the wheel strategy. And for me, one of the things that I do, I don't worry about getting out of the stock. I spend a little more time picking a stock that I think is going to be around longer than I'm going to be around. So I'm 46, I'm going to die anywhere from the next 5 minutes to maybe when I'm 100. And the stocks that I'm selling these cash secured put options on, I think they're going to be around at least as long as me, probably longer. So check it out, ihavesuccess.com, and get up with me if you want to chat. And again, if you're going to come off with some sort of weird angled questions or kind of being rude because it's on the internet and maybe you're just a rude person in life and you're going to be extra rude online. I don't do this to pay my bills, right? So I pick and choose who I want to talk with. All right, aloha.